What's good, guys? Today I made right around $5,000. These are the two trade day. For me, the first trade I took was a loss. Second trade was able to secure back. I was able to secure back double of what I lost on the first trade. This trade was taken on Tuesday, but I wasn't able to do the video on Tuesday. But let's get to how I was able to take the trade for the day. Um, so probably for the market, we had this high, we had this fair value gap, we also had this 1 hour low, and also this low right here. And then we had this fair value gap, this 1 hour fair value gap, right? And scaling down into the 3 minutes. Let me move on this. Oh my god. Alright. So the 30 minutes, we haven't marked out in the 30 minutes yet. We had this 30 minutes high. And we literally had this imbalance in the 1 hour fair value gap also, so it doesn't really matter. It's still the same area and everything. So coming into the market, alright, I was actually looking at side by side with S&P. S&P had already taken out the 30 minutes highs, but already like literally touched into the fair value gap. But I wasn't really willing to take the trade because most of my trade is off at Nasdaq, so I only wait for like Nasdaq to actually come or tap into each and any one of our POIs. So I waited for Nasdaq to sweep out the high, even though S&P would have been the better option to trade, which I'll explain further along in the video. I waited for Nasdaq to sweep the high first. Now, where I made the mistake was I was already swept the high. I didn't wait for the 3 minute break. I instantly went to the 1 minute because on the S&P already swept out the high, right? And it was really forming an SMT. It was forming this SMT right here. So I was like, bet we have this SMT. Why not just take it off from the 1 minute? Now this is why I failed because normally I was supposed to always and only use the 3 minute breaker structure as my setup to find entries before I start looking for the optimal trade entry I would have loved to take trade from, but I didn't wait for that. I really just entered off this candlestick close, bearish candlestick close from this 1 minute SMT that I saw. Put a trade off from it, put my stops right above here, and my take profit all the way down to our targets, and we got stopped out. And yeah, I sent this trade to the team. So the same trade I took, I had a loss. I lost my first 2,000, almost $3,000 on the trade. And what I could have actually done better, like I said, was to have waited for that 3 minute break, like I always and normally should have always done, which happened right around here. Now, the thing is, what would have been the difference if I had waited for the 3 minute break? If I waited for the 3 minute break, I would have actually taken the trade because then we'll mark out the other block. Then we can now scale down to the 1 minute to look for trade entry. And if I had done that, I'll have noticed that we don't have really anything to trade off from because my real entry point will have actually been this other block that caused this break, and my real stops will have been up around here. And seeing the risk to reward, I wouldn't actually wanted to have taken the trade in the first place because not the number my lowest risk to reward to be taking the trade off from is 1:2. So I wouldn't have wanted to take this trade because this is less than the 1:2. but it didn't matter because we still stayed in the market and we still wasn't trying to force ourselves or trying to revenge trade, but we still stayed in the market to look for a new opportunity to trade off from, which I did again. So after taking this loss and market swept us out again, I looked for a re-entry on the 3 minute break. Now, why did I look for a re-entry? Now, I have this rule in my journal where I always know that if market takes us out and sweeps us out, right, and gives us a 3 minute break off of that sweep immediately, there's a huge chance that we can still get back our trade again. And so that's what I did. I waited for that 3 minutes break off our invalidation which happened here. We didn't really have any SMT. And if we had that SMT, I'll have actually used the 1 minute this time, which is actually more valid because now this is in my trading journal of how I normally trade. So we waited for that 3 minute break right around here. Uh, this time using the breaker block that caused the break. And this type of 3 minute breaker structure is an unrated 3 minute breaker structure. Now that means it didn't sweep the highs before causing the break. So it's not a typical normal type of breaker structure you used to see me trade off from so that you won't get confused. So off from that, we now looked at, okay, what was the last price action again of this 3 minute breaker block that we caught? This other block again. Now I took my entries off from the body. I mean from the wick of the other block. Then my stops was just a little bit above the, oh my god, was a little bit above the breaker breaker block, the body of the second candle after the breaker block. Then in terms of take profit, I took out 7% off at 1:2, and our last TP at this lows that we gave, and that was how I was able to make back double of what I lost in the first trade and made around 7,500 because I think the total profit was after the loss was around $4,000, which is the trade I gave to the Discord again, and I sent my total profit at the end of the day after the loss and everything. So what could I have done better? What did I fill out in this trade? Like I said, if I had waited for that 3 minute break on the first trade, I would have wanted to take this trade. So this would have been a loss that I wouldn't have actually had. Uh, or even better, we could have actually used the S&P since we already saw the sweep first from this one because this would have been a better trade. We could have even had two trades that would have been a win because on the S&P after we had that what they call that sweep off this already and we had that break scaling down after marking out our other block scaling down into the 1 minute. Scaling down into the 1 minute, we'll have had this fair value gap to trade off from, and then entries will have been off that body of that fair value gap and a little bit above, and we'll have closed at least, even though we're not hitting TP, but we'll have been able to close out at a 1:2, close out more than 60% of our position at 1:2, like I always do. I close out 70% of my position at 1:2 if I only have one TP target, and I'll be able to at least have a decent trade before getting validated, and then we enter out, have another decent trade. So that's probably the only mistake I made today. Then for the other trade, we didn't make any mistake. It was exactly like how it should have been done, and that just sums up how I was able to take today's trade and make gains out of it at the end of the day. I hope guys could have learned from it. See you in the next video.